I kind of violated a long-standing term of mine that I try to live by, and that is something that I learned from my good friend Dave, who lives in Tampa, Florida. And yes, they're okay from the hurricane. But Dave always says he tends to avoid any establishments or things that are titled either ye old, particularly when there's an E on the end of old, or anything that is classified as a shoppy, which is SHOPPEE.
Right.
Yeah, those are things he tends to avoid. But I went against his advice today and smoked the Rocky Patel Old World Reserve, OLDE, Old World. The Old World Reserve.
Did you buy it at the Briar shop? Because that would be perfect.
See, that would be the Briar Shoppy and the Ye Old.
Exactly.
Exactly. That's what I should have done. The Old World Reserve was Rocky's first cigar to appear in Cigar Aficionado's year-end top 10. So it was an early winner for Rocky. It even had to be halted around 2012 because there were shortages of some of the tobacco that Rocky uses in the blend. So rather than change the blend, he just waited until that tobacco was available again and then started blending again. It's been back out for a while now, but a long time since I last smoked one of these, so I thought I'd journey back into the oldie world with today's cigar notes. So the cigar is nicely box pressed, as you can see over here, or perhaps here. A thick square Maduro with an unassuming double band. It really is kind of understated. You know how some of Rocky's more recent releases, they've gone all out with the silver and gold encrusted bands. And nothing like that. This is very understated, very nice. It is a thick square Maduro, as I said. The wrapper is a Costa Rican Maduro. Now, that's fairly unusual.
Okay.
There's sometimes you'll find.
So both of our cigars had some Costa Rica in them today. That's an interesting
sometimes
parallel.
you'll find that, but it's not the most common source for tobacco. That Costa Rica Maduro wrapper is draped over a Honduran binder and Nicaraguan and Honduran filler tobacco. Rocky believes in starting with the wrapper when he blends the cigar. So he goes wrapper first, and then he says he'll build his blend around that, making adjustments to the binder, then the filler. I've spent a lot of time at the factory, Rocky says. I don't make a blend and give it out to 10 people and see what they think. I trust my palate, and I know what I'm looking for. Well, I think the
he's pretty good
results are in the proof is in the pudding, right? I used a punch on the cigar, took in some of the pre-light aromas, hay, oats, and tea leaf on the pre-light sniff, and much the same on the draw, plus a little hint of black licorice. Once I lit it up, I was greeted with rich tobacco aromas rather than a Nicaraguan pepper blast. The cigar smoked great from the start and developed more and more complexity as it went. Rich Maduro sweetness on the palate with notes of oak and earth. Very nice opening play by the Ye Olde World Reserve. It doesn't really have ye on it, but I just, now that I've bought into the narrative, might as well.
You might as well.
Second third of the cigar opened up to even more notes, espresso and chocolate, with just a hint of tea leaf and some spice. Baking spices on the retrohale. Kind of interesting, because usually on the retrohale, you're more likely to get like a pepper or a wood note. Here I got baking spices, so that was kind of interesting. The strength ramped up just a bit by the final third, going from medium to full maybe, and closing out with a burst of flavors. Earth, cocoa, almonds, and oak were the most prominent of those flavors. Construction was very good, which always impresses me in a larger ring, box pressed cigar, because the bigger it is, the more difficult that box press is to pull off and have everything burn the way it should. The ash was a bit flaky, I'll say that, but the burn was terrific all the way through it. Really only got off track maybe one time and corrected itself for the most part. So I enjoyed it. The Old World Reserve 60 Maduro was a really nice change of pace for me. It's nice to see that Rocky's blends are persevering and becoming perhaps even better than they were when they were released, which is a lot of times it just goes the other way. Like sometimes now when I go and get just a heritage cigar, just like a regular Romeo and Julieta, sometimes sometimes I'm a little disappointed by it. I think, well, I used to smoke these all the time and love them. Have my taste just shifted and I'm looking for other things, or they maybe not paying quite as much attention to this because they're doing all these new fancy Romeos, and that's where all the good tobacco's going. I don't know. You'll have to smoke one and decide. But anyway, good to see these cigars from Rocky at least. It's every bit as good as I remember, perhaps more.
Thou hast piqued mine interest in revisiting ye old.
It's a $10 to $11 cigar. I recommend it. Price to quality, I'll give it a solid 5. It was a very nice
That's
performer.
2 weeks in a row we have the same
score.
Same score.
We both did a 4.5 last week, didn't we? Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, good cigar. Really enjoyed it, and I picked mine up in the humidor at Specs downtown. That's where I got it. So anyway, that's I really am thinking I need a couple more. I don't know if I'm gonna buy a box, but I'm thinking I need a couple more of these in the humidor.